Alright, I am back with a combo video of sorts, talking about how I'm juggling my various live service games at the moment, given that there's a lot of different things going on. I've been a little late on videos of parents visiting, in-laws visiting, lots of stuff going on and little time to record. I know you're supposed to do this more at the beginning of videos, which I never do. But if you like my channel, it would be awesome if you would subscribe. Oh god, I sound like such a YouTuber. But that's how you get more subs, and I'm really close to 100k. And it would be very motivating if I could hit that at some point. Anyway, okay, so what I want to talk about today is the splits that I'm currently doing between Destiny 2, the First Descendant, and Diablo 4, where it's an interesting balancing act now that sort of began in earnest yesterday as Destiny 2 launched its Solstice event, Diablo 4 launched a new season, and I have been playing the First Descendant since launch for, let's check, I don't even want to check, 267 hours. Oh my god. I've seen people with like almost double with that, which doesn't even make sense to me, but clearly it's a lot. Okay, so Destiny 2 is sort of the easiest because I played about 45 minutes of Solstice yesterday when it launched, and it's just not anything I'm gonna do. You know, I'm not trying to dunk on Destiny at like a dark time here, but this is something I sort of will complain about with Solstice every year, that we're in, I don't even know what's the 6th year of the EAZ, and we've had like maybe 2 or 3 variations on the same concept. This one is very basic and I would say very uninteresting, where just mobs spawn, you kill the dudes, you throw the balls at the bonfire, you fight the boss. Oh, sometimes you have to go to the roofs and fight Taken. There's no more like chest runs, like trying to get all the chests before the timer runs out. Like, that was kind of annoying, but it was also kind of fun. The point is like, I just wish we had moved on past the EAZ at this point, though I sort of understand, given everything, why that hasn't happened. There is a bounty system now to get the new pieces of armor, which I think is worse than previous seasons. The grind for this is not terribly fun. You know, I'm picking up bounties where it's like generate orbs with a solar subclass, or like kill enemies, you know, under void debuffs and things like that. And like, as far as I can tell, they're not even like skewed toward the EAZ. Like, you don't get bonus progression in the EAZ, so like optimizing this is like going into a lost sector that's crowded, or doing, you know, the good old one of the classic farming runs somewhere, the loot cave or the friggin' thrallway and whatever. So that's not really a fun way to do this if you're trying to be efficient, but neither is playing the EAZ very fun by itself. I know there are some good rolls on the weapons this time around, but one of the reasons I'm skewing more toward Diablo and the First Descendant is because I've just gotten so kind of tired of Destiny and the lack of power progression, where if the story's not really compelling or interesting, then, you know, that leaves gameplay. And just compared to these other games, I'm just, you know, do I need another bow that's yeah, repulsor brace, volatile rounds, or like another rocket launcher with stacking rockets with envious assassin or reconstruction or whatever. Like, I get that, you know, we're power creeping our way out of things, and technically new weapons are better than old weapons. It's just, it's so incremental. It's just not very compelling. So really, you know, I'm sticking around with the season stuff when the actual story content happens, the actual acts, when there's actually new things launching, like the Battlegrounds. I will play that, but I don't see any reason to grind Solstice at this point. The armor is okay. I know some people really like it. I just think it's okay. If I really care that much, I could buy it, which I probably won't do. So once I realized that it was not really going to hook me, I was like, okay, let's just do the Diablo season, which launched pretty much at the exact same moment. I tweeted that, like, I'm kind of tired of Diablo seasons because it just gets a little exhausting starting over at level 1 every single time, which I get is the model. I'm not telling them to change this anymore. It's just not my favorite thing. And I know they have buffed leveling to, you know, degrees that were far past where it was previously. It's still just not that fun to do, even if it is an accelerated path from 1 to 50 or 1 to 100 or whatever. And, the ability to start farming Uber Uniques and whatever. This time around, I figured I'd at least do it and see how it goes, see how the progression is, see if there's anything worthwhile in the Battle Pass. I bought the Battle Pass for $10 or whatever, and those are pretty easy to get through, even if you're not like grinding like crazy. So I figured I'll at least do that. And, this is live until the expansion launches in October. So, there's plenty of time for this. I'm doing a Necromancer. I don't have anything approaching a normal amazing build right now. It's just minions and things. And I am slowly leveling. I know there's like power leveling strategies and like whatever. I don't care enough to do that. I'll just play at a somewhat normal pace just so I don't have to do the same stuff over and over and over. This season, it's kind of an interesting idea where you're like allied with a sect of like the Mother's chosen servants who are normally people you're killing. And but they're like the true ones, and they don't seem to mind that you've killed Lilith. There's one kind of asshole woman who you collect all this power, and then she just sort of steals it. The story is a little bit spread out. It's not gated behind arbitrary chapter fulfillments anymore, like do 5 sellers or whatever. But you do have to farm a good amount of some of the currency to progress. I think the pace of this has been fine. I've been introduced to at least one of the new activities. This is not, anything ultra endgame yet. I know they have I think there's some sort of unlimited dungeon here. Like, pardon me, like I haven't paid that much attention to the pre-release stuff for this season, so I'm kind of finding a lot of this fresh. This is, it's just sort of a mildly different way to do a dungeon right now, where you kill 5 things, you get 5 pieces of currency. You do a little like choice of like how are you going to modify the next segment, and then you do it again, and then you can choose to fight a hard boss or an easy boss, where the hard boss just does 50% more damage, and if you lose, like you're done. You don't get that currency, and that run is sort of lost. If you do the harder boss, you get to open like the good chest, which has a lot, of legendaries and things like that. It's just this right now is just sort of a dungeon with extra steps, so it's nothing really to write home about. I haven't read about this. I don't think there's like some sort of big build modifying mechanic this time. Maybe it is once you finish the storyline, but I haven't gotten that far yet. But like there's no like, oh, here's your little spider buddy with all his powers, or like, oh, here's your vampire powers. Like usually they give you that stuff right away, so I don't know if there might just not be anything like that. I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, or I should just go read the seasonal promotion stuff, which I skipped. And so I'll make my way through. There were 15 new uniques and then a bunch of new legendary aspects. So there is that might be the most they've added in a season, I think. So I think that's kind of the main focus here. They also, I think they did big buffs to a lot of stuff. I know that you can get some stats now that are like wildly out of band. I can't remember if that's this season or last season, but like the point is there's a lot of power buffs, and they've been pretty good about power buffs lately. By lately, I mean like the last 2.5 seasons, because they know they screwed up at the beginning, and now they're like terrified to do anything that is not buffs at this point. Then we have the First Descendant, which I have ground into dust here, but I'm slowing down a little bit just because like I've kind of like started to almost achieve the things I wanted to achieve in terms of the characters I want and care about and the ones I want to upgrade. My significant quote unquote accomplishments there, I finished normal bunny, I've finished at least, I finished Thunder Cage, I finished Eternal Willpower. I am about to finish Enduring Legacy in terms of weapons. Like after that, like I don't really need to keep investing in weapons because those ones are so good until others get buffs. I have Ultimate Lepic. That was a tough farm. He's not all the way done yet, but I'm slowly turning him into like a boss munching machine. And I also have Enzo. I really enjoyed Enzo. I think he's a really unique style of character, and his buff potential is crazy. Like there's just 100% crit chance build on him, which is super fun and pairs really well with Enduring Legacy. So I've mostly been working on him lately. And then I just finished the farm for Ultimate VSO, which was a roller coaster of emotion of probably 70 runs missing a 6% piece that would never drop through the awful Void Reactor farm, and then getting her final piece on the first try. So it's a big swing with this game. A lot of the game's main issues are sort of coming to a head, especially the longer you play. One half of the two main grinds in the game is pretty unbearable. I've talked about this before, but it's this loop of like infiltrating outposts with one character, farming arbitrary shards with another elemental character, and then taking them to a reactor with a bullet sponge boss that does not spawn any ammo or mana. It's a very bad loop. It's how you have to farm a lot of the top characters unless you want to fight the crazy high-end bosses that require competent teammates, which you cannot always find. That grind is very exhausting. They have changed very little about it. They've talked about changing more, but they have not really done anything major yet other than lowering outpost timers. And literally, at a certain point, I'm just waiting for timers. Like, I'm crafting Ultimate VSA now. I think it's like a 38-hour timer. So I'm like, okay, well, I could keep leveling Enzo, but, I'll stop by Destiny and I'll probably just take a break and play Diablo. So, like, I'm not quitting the First Descendant. Just because I say negative things about the First Descendant doesn't mean, like, oh my gosh, you turned on the First Descendant. Like, we knew this would happen. It's like, any game I play for this long, I'm going to have critiques about. So that's, hardly unusual, but it has kept my attention for this long. I do understand why people hate it. I've recommended it to a few friends who have, like, hit a wall of grinding because the rates can be so bad. So I fully understand that. But if you break through that, and if this is your type of grind, which is, I've always equated it to like those crazy grind a boss in Borderlands for, this incredibly rare thing grinds. It's certainly not like Destiny in most ways in terms of its grind, but it does have the thing I'm looking for, which is meaningful increases in power. And like start to finish, leveling up these guns, leveling up these characters, it is huge swings of power that you can really feel, and that feels good. And to a certain extent, obviously that's true in Diablo as your build comes together. It's just the 1 to 100 leveling process is still not amazing to me, and starting a completely new character, I don't know, it's not as fun for me. But technically I'm starting new characters in the First Descendant, but these are permanents, and there's not like seasonal characters there, and it's just a bit different. But, so that's how I'm juggling these 3 games, in that I am essentially not playing Destiny until Act 3 starts, unless there's some crazy secret thing that crops up midway through Act 2 here. And then I'll take a break doing this Diablo season for a little while, and periodically checking in on the First Descendant to craft things that take anywhere from 8 hours to 3 days to finish. And so that's what I'm doing. Let me go and know what you guys are doing. I'm curious what you guys are playing, and if you have any thoughts on all 3 of these. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.